Hello, everyone. Welcome to your reading today. And I want to say something before we even begin because Spirit was pressing on me before I even sat down with your energy today. Pressing with the specific, insistent quality of something that needs to be said and needs to be said now. So I am going to honor that. I am going to say it clearly, and I am going to ask you to stay with me. Not every message that comes through today will apply to everyone watching. Please take what resonates, what speaks to your soul and your situation, and gently release the rest with love. But for those of you this is meant for, and you will know, you will feel it in the way certain things land differently than other things, please listen carefully. Because what is coming through today is something I almost did not know how to say. Something that may be hard to believe, something that the rational, protected, I have learned not to hope too much part of you may immediately want to dismiss. I am asking you not to dismiss it. Not yet. Stay with me through the whole reading first, and then decide. Please, what do we need to know today? What is Spirit sharing with this collective? Oh, oh, wow. Okay, okay, I was not expecting this to come through this strongly. The person you have been thinking about, the one whose name surfaced in your mind before I even finished that sentence, is not where you think they are emotionally. Not even close. And I know that might be hard to believe given everything that has happened, given the way things have looked from the outside, given the specific and painful story that the evidence available to you has been telling. But the evidence available to you has been incomplete, significantly incomplete. And what Spirit is bringing through today is the part of the story that the incomplete evidence could not show you. This person loves you, not in the past tense, not in the fading, complicated, I used to feel something way, in the present tense, right now, in this moment, with a depth and a specificity that has not diminished with time or distance or whatever circumstances created the current gap between you. If anything, and this is the part that may be hardest to believe, it has grown. Soft sigh. Let's see what else is coming in. Please, what does Spirit need this collective to understand? Because I know what some of you are thinking right now. I can feel the resistance, the very reasonable, very understandable, very earned resistance of someone who has been through enough to know that hope is expensive and that the cost of hoping for something that does not materialize is one they are not sure they can afford again. Right? That protective part of you that hears someone loves you and immediately reaches for the but they have not shown it. But the actions did not match the feeling. But if they loved me that way, why has any of this happened the way it happened? Those are fair questions, genuinely fair. And Spirit is not asking you to ignore them today. Spirit is asking you to hold them alongside something else, alongside the possibility that the answer to why the actions did not always match the feeling has nothing to do with the authenticity of the feeling and everything to do with where this person has been within themselves. because that is what is coming through so clearly today. The gap, not between their feeling for you and the truth. The feeling is real. Spirit confirms it without hesitation, but between the feeling and their capacity to express it, to live it, to show up for it in the daily, consistent, this is what love looks like in practice way that you deserve and that they have not always been able to provide. And the reason for that gap, the specific, honest, not comfortable, but true reason, is something I want to speak about directly because I think you need to hear it. Let's see what else Spirit is sharing. Please, what do we need to hear about this person's inner world? Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely yes, because this is the piece that changes everything. This is the piece that the outside story, the one made of actions and silences and the visible behavior that has been the only information available to you, could not contain. This person has been at war with themselves. And I do not mean that dramatically. I mean it precisely the specific, exhausting, daily conflict of someone who knows what they want and simultaneously does not yet trust themselves to have it, who feels something enormous and simultaneously fears that feeling something enormous means eventually losing something enormous, who loves you with a depth that frightens them, not because love is frightening in itself, but because everything they have learned about love, everything their history has taught them about what happens when they love this fully, has told them that this depth of feeling is precursor to this depth of pain. Whew. So they have been managing the feeling, managing the expression of it, managing the distance between where they are and where they want to be, with you trying to keep it at a size that feels survivable if it goes wrong. And the management, the specific daily energy consuming management of loving you while simultaneously protecting themselves from the full consequence of loving you is what has produced the gap between what they feel and what you have been able to see. Not deception, not indifference, fear dressed as distance, love dressed as caution. The most genuine feeling available to this person, wrapped in protective layers so thick that from the outside it has sometimes looked like the feeling was not there at all. And I want you to hear your person speaking today, because Spirit keeps bringing this voice through and it needs to reach you. I know this is going to be hard for you to believe. I know I have not always shown you what I actually feel. I know the gap between what lives in me when I think of you and what I have managed to make visible has been confusing and painful, and probably at times has made you question whether what you felt between us was real. It was real. It has always been real. It is the realest thing I have in my life. And the irony, the specific and painful irony, is that its reality is part of what has made it so difficult to simply let it be what it is without protecting myself from the full weight of it. Because if it is real, and it is, then losing it would be real too. And I have spent more energy than I am comfortable admitting managing the possibility of that loss rather than simply being present in the reality of the love. I have been so afraid of the ending that I have not been fully in the middle, and you have felt that. I know you have felt it, and I am sorry genuinely in the full and reckoning sense of that word for every moment my fear cost you something it should not have cost you. Soft sigh. Oh, guys, do you feel that? Because that is real. That is the quality of what Spirit is bringing through for this collective today, not the managed, comfortable, this is what I want you to hear version. The actual thing, the honest, costly, took everything available to say thing. Let's see what else is coming in. Please, what else does Spirit need this collective to hear today? Oh, I love this. I love this so much because what is coming through now is about what is changing, not what has been. We have spoken about what has been, and that part of the story deserves acknowledgement, but does not deserve to be the only part we look at today. What is coming through now is the part that is moving, the part that is shifting, the part that may be hard to believe precisely because it has not yet fully expressed itself in the visible world, but is absolutely, unmistakably real in the invisible one. Something broke open in this person recently, not dramatically, quietly, in the specific, private, entirely unwitnessed way that the most significant internal shifts tend to happen. Something that had been held tightly for a long time simply released. And in the releasing, in the space that opened where the tight holding used to be, something became possible that was not possible before. The possibility of choosing love over the management of love, of letting the feeling be what it is without immediately reaching for the protective strategy, of deciding not in the grand, announced, dramatic way, but in the quiet, private, this is what I am going to do way, that you are worth the risk of the full thing, not the managed version, the full thing. And that decision, that quiet, private, genuinely significant shift is what is driving a movement toward you that you may not yet be able to see, but that Spirit is confirming today with everything it has. A movement that is real, that has intention behind it. That is not going to reverse at the first sign of difficulty the way previous movements may have reversed. Because the reversal always happened before the shift. The management always reasserted itself before the feeling could fully land in action. But something is different now. The shift has happened at a level that the management cannot easily reach, at the foundation rather than the surface. And what is built at the foundation does not undo itself when the surface gets complicated. Now I want to speak to you directly. To the part of you that is listening to all of this and simultaneously running the internal audit, checking it against the evidence, looking for the inconsistency, applying the very reasonable skepticism of someone who has been burned by hope before and is not eager to be burned again. That part of you is not wrong to be careful. I want to say that clearly. The carefulness is earned. The skepticism has a history and a logic and a genuine protective function that has served you. And Spirit is not asking you today to abandon that carefulness in favor of a blind, unguarded opening to everything being different now. What Spirit is asking is something more specific than that. Spirit is asking you to consider the possibility, not to commit to it, not to act on it before the evidence in the visible world begins to confirm what the invisible world is already showing. Simply to hold the door open, just slightly, just enough that if what is moving in the invisible world does find its way into the visible one, if the shift that has happened internally begins to express itself in ways you can actually see, you are not so fortified against it that it cannot reach you. Because here is what I know about the love that is hard to believe. It tends to be the real kind, the easy kind, the love that arrives obviously, that expresses itself clearly, that requires no leap of faith to receive. That kind is common. It is available, and it is often exactly as straightforward as it appears. But the love that is hard to believe, the love that exists in complicated people, in complicated circumstances, doing complicated internal work that is not yet fully visible, that love tends to run deeper than the easy kind ever. Manages to reach, this person loves you in the deep way, in the complicated, hard to see, hard to believe, but absolutely real way. And Spirit is saying today, do not let the difficulty of believing it cause you to close the door before the evidence arrives to confirm it. Soft sigh. Let's see what final message Spirit has for this collective today. Please, what does this reading need to close with? Oh, yes. Oh, this is so beautiful and so right for where we have been today. Because what is coming through as the final piece, the thing Spirit most wants you to carry out of this reading, is something I want to say in your person's voice one last time. Because it is the thing they most need you to hear. The thing that has perhaps been trying to reach you through every channel available and finding again and again that the channel was not quite open enough to let it through completely. I am not going anywhere. I know the evidence of recent times may have suggested otherwise. I know the distance and the silence and the complicated navigation of everything between us has not always looked like someone who is staying. But I am staying in the only way I currently know how, which is imperfect and sometimes invisible and not always what you need it to look like, but real. Genuinely, fundamentally, not going to simply disappear real. And I am working on the gap between what I feel and what I show, between where I am and where you deserve me to be. Not because you asked me to, because I finally, honestly, past all the managing and all the protecting, want to. because you are worth the wanting, because what exists between us is worth the work. Because I have tried, I have genuinely tried to find somewhere in the world that makes me feel what I feel in your presence, and I have found nothing, nowhere, no one. There is only you. There has only ever been you. And I am sorry it has taken me this long to be brave enough to say it without the management, without the distance, without the protective layer between the feeling and its expression, just simply, completely, with everything I have you. Oh, that is the message for today, everyone. I know it was a lot. I know it was heavy and real and perhaps hard to believe in exactly the way the title of this reading promised it might be. But Spirit does not bring things through without reason. And what came through today for this collective with this level of clarity and this level of urgency has a reason, has a person it was meant for. And if that person is you, if something here landed with the specific weight of something you were meant to hear, please trust that landing. It is real. What you felt between you is real. And what is moving on the other side of the current silence, slowly, honestly, with a seriousness of intention that has not always been available before, is real too. Keep the door open, just a little, just enough. This is your reading for today, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for trusting this space with your hearts. If this reading found you, if something here gave language to what you have been carrying, please like, comment, and subscribe to stay connected. We are so grateful for every one of you. Blessings of love, clarity, and the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are loved to everyone watching today. Have a beautiful day, everyone.